Welcome to the AmericanaMusic.com podcast with your host, Sarah Popejoy.
Today on AmericanaMusic.com podcast, we are interviewing Maia Sharp. She's written songs for Keb Mo, Cher, Raitt, Taj Mahal, Art Garfunkel, and Trisha Yearwood, including Trisha's recent single, The Wall or the Way Over. Maia's new album, Tomboy, is a catchy collection of songs that hit close to the bone from one of the best songwriters around. Tomboy releases Friday, September 12th. We're excited to welcome Maia Sharp to our show today. Welcome, Maia.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Your mom was an anthropologist, and your father, Randy Sharp, was a 3-time Grammy winner, a songwriter for artists like Reba, Alabama, Emmylou Harris, Linda Ronstadt, the Chicks, Patti Loveless, and Kenny Rogers.
I know there's
a lot more people, and I tried to leave some names out, but wow, it's pretty amazing. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like growing up in that household, and how did your dad's work influence your writing?
They met singing in a band together in high school, so there was just music in the house all the time. She went back to school in the early 80s, went all the way through, got her PhD in anthropology, taught at UCLA. He has been a songwriter, really for his whole life, and then obviously for my whole life. It's pretty amazing how similar the anthropological point of view and the songwriter point of view is. There was a lot of side-by-side observations there.
Right.
Just a footnote, she has gone back to school and is now getting her master's in social work. She's about halfway through that. I don't know, there's something about, maybe being in an artist house or something. There's little regard to perceived rules or boundaries. There's nothing that tells her that she should be finished now. She's not at all. She's like, I still have a whole other chapter in me. They just moved here to Nashville from Central California.
Oh.
There were a lot of factors there, but it just kind of felt like it was time for us all to live in the same city again. Just last April, they moved here. So we're all three in the same city for the first time in about 6 years. Just the way they look at the world was definitely a strong influence on me and what I knew I could do and what I never thought I couldn't.
Yeah.
And actually, this kind of ties into the theme of the album. I played sports from a very young age. I was very often the only girl on the field. I was the only girl in the band. I was the only girl in the room. I wasn't fazed at all by that. And I always had their complete support in every way. Even though he's a musician and they met through that, I also never felt pressured, or it never felt like it was assumed that I was going to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
When I started to gravitate toward that, they were only encouraging, but never gave me any unsolicited advice. If I asked him for something or asked her for something, they were there, but it was never assumed or pushed. I think that maybe secretly, if I had turned out to be a lawyer, maybe they would have been disappointed or something. But I only got support. His writing, the way that he looks at a song, the way that he crafts a song, and the care that he takes in that was definitely an early influence on me. He was also the first co-writer that I ever had.
Aww.
So I had written very few songs alone before he and I started to write. I got some early lessons from a great writer, which I just count as one of the many things about accidentally being born into that home that made me extremely lucky. Yeah.
You've moved from Los Angeles to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference in those two music cities from your perspective?
Yeah, I moved at the beginning of 19. I had been coming to Nashville for a good 20 years or so to write fairly often, anywhere between probably 3 and 6 times a year. So I had a community started here when I moved. I resisted it for a long time. I always thought that I was kind of on the fringe as a writer here. I had some cool things happen, but I wasn't sure that I was really going to be able to be a full-time writer here. It's probably a combination of me changing my perspective a little bit and the town itself changing or growing or allowing for that fringe to be more of a survivable place. LA started, at least from what I was seeing, and I know it's not like this for everybody, LA is such a personal world. One person's LA doesn't look like anybody else's LA. It isn't like there's a heart of it that you either fit into or you don't. You build your own. It's a blank slate and you make yours. You find your people, you find your way to survive. The thing that we we probably all had in common, and my friends who are still there, is that everybody's hustling. It's harder to survive just on a financial level and on a geographical level because nothing is within 30 minutes of anything else. So you really kind of have to plan your day. You got to figure out which thing you're going to go to, where you might meet the person that you need to meet, but you still got to be cool. You can't look too desperate. And everybody's, I don't know. It's a lot. For me, it got to be where if you didn't have a pretty good foothold in film and TV, if you didn't have a pretty regular stream of something happening in that world, it was going to be extra challenging. And it wasn't always like that, at least. And again, everybody has their own experience in LA. This isn't like, here's what it's like. Like, this is just the way I saw it. When I started this whole endeavor in the 90s, my first live gig as a singer-songwriter was, I think, in 1993. And then I got a record deal and I got my first song recorded by another artist, both in 1996. Wow. So that was kind of the beginning of all this. It was just, you could find a way to survive on that, a publishing deal and or a record deal, touring. I could put it together. In the last maybe 10 years of living there, it seemed to be like, yeah, you can maybe get by on the crumbs of that, but you really got to have some kind of film and TV activity going on. I had a little bit of interest here and there, but it wasn't enough to make the good things that were happening to me be LA specific. Anytime something really good happened, it's because I traveled. It's because I came to Nashville, a New York thing, overseas, or something that I could have done either from anywhere or it was because I left. And so I had to kind of start to think about that. And I'm so California. I still get wistful even when you just ask me about it. Like, I'm just such a Californian and I love LA. It's hard to watch them go through more challenges now.
Yeah.
Fires, the political climate and things like that. And like, I want to be there for that. Like, I want to be a part of LA for that. But it wasn't where I could be the best version of me. And it wasn't where the best version of me was appreciated. And here in Nashville, somehow there's a world that I fit into well. Every good thing leads to the next thing. I can find a momentum here. And there's opportunities here that come when I'm just entirely myself. Even if I feel like maybe I was kind of clumsy or I was kind of introverted or whatever. I get seen here. Somehow it has shown itself to absolutely be where I have to be.
That's awesome. That's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we don't find that everywhere, right?
No, for sure. You are involved with Songwriting with Soldiers, a nonprofit that pairs veterans, first responders, and law enforcement with pro songwriters to create music about their experiences. What has that experience meant to you, and what have you learned from it?
Oof, I mean, that's a huge answer because it has changed me in so many ways. It's changed the way I write. It's changed the reasons that I write. It's changed how I move through the world, I think. I feel calmer somehow. It takes more to get to me to make me feel like this is really a problem because of some of the stories that I've heard in those rooms. Oh, that's a problem. Okay. That warrants anxiety. And it isn't like a rating system. None of them would ever say that their troubles are more than anybody else's troubles. It's just a perspective shift.
Right.
It's a cold slap of one. It's like, oh, okay, I need to kind of recalibrate here and look at things in a different way. And it's been so effective at that. Also in those rooms, because they're doing other work. They are in this place of opening up to us, probably having come a very long way from a dark place. And now they're in front of us sharing that. And also that we get to see that somebody can have a journey like that and they can be successful in climbing out of a dark place like that and getting to this point. That also inspires. If I feel like I am knocked over by something, I got this. If they can do that, I can do this. There's so many ways that those rooms inspire. And every time after a session, the veterans or the first responders will always thank us for doing that. And we always try to tell them that you have given us so much more.
Yeah.
We feel like we got just a whole other kind of life instruction that I don't feel like I get anywhere else. And I also didn't realize how much I needed that. Like, I started working for Songwriting with Soldiers. I think my very first retreat was in 2017. It's been 8 years or so. I didn't realize that one of those things that I really needed as I started to think about leaving LA and coming here was more of a sense of just the songs need to mean something. And not just like, here's my story, here's what happened to me, here's how I felt. Obviously, you can get a lot of meaning out of that, because also one of the things that we address in those rooms is that sometimes a veteran or first responders will feel like they're the only ones who felt that way. And just the act of sharing lets them know that they actually are not the only one who felt that. I'm not saying that those songs that I was writing before I had this opportunity to write with them aren't helpful or don't have a layer of that, but there's something when I walk out of that room like, oh, this song, if they share it, if it hit them as hard as they say it did, and they go out and they share it, and they use it to share a story that maybe they don't want to just have to say again, they can just kind of use the song for that. It's a whole other kind of a ripple effect. It's just a whole other thing. And I got to take a vacation from me. It wasn't about me at all. I wasn't even in the room. It was just like, I got to hear your story and I got to make a song out of that.
Right.
And inevitably, no matter how different our experiences are in life, inevitably there's something in their song that I can relate to. There's going to be something that like, oh, I feel that, even if it's not on the nose, but I know that feeling.
Oh, cool.
It is a lot. It has changed me in such, I mean, I guess it's for other people to judge if it's changed me in a better way, but I like me better.
That's cool. That's really neat that you get as much out of it as they do.
I mean, I can't imagine that they get more out of it. There's a group of us that are doing this. There's like maybe 10 of us that are doing it. And we all just shake our heads like, how do we get so lucky that we have the opportunity to do this and learn from them and learn from that experience? Also, like the first time I was asked about it and told what the format was, like, okay, you're going to sit down with one, maybe two, and then eventually it got to be 8. And then a couple weeks ago, I sat down with 12 at the same time. And you're going to have about 2 hours to find a song in the room and finish that song. I was the person who always took a week or 2 or longer. I was the person who would roll my eyes if someone was like, oh, this song only took a couple hours. I was like, yeah, I bet it sounds like it only took a couple hours. Like, I was not about fast.
Yeah.
Even if like a Nashville session and somebody has, okay, well, there's a 10 to 2 and then I got a 3 to 6. What are you doing? I would be the one like, that's not how it works, Well, apparently it can work like that because that's what the format is for this. You only have a couple hours. There's always more than one song in the room, but you have to find what is the meat of the thing that we're going to say in this song, what's our theme, and then how do we want to flesh out the story? How do we want to get to that? It always has a hopeful upturn. It's really challenging. It wrings me out and fills me up at the same time. And I don't know any other thing that I do that has both of those things in equal parts.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Getting to hear their stories. 2 hours is very fast.
Yeah, right? I mean, it takes you at least 45 minutes just to like kind of settle in and have a conversation and, hey, how are you? What's on your mind? Like, then you got to write it.
Your 2021 album, Mercy Rising, came after a 20-year marriage. Your album in 2023, Reckless Thoughts, was more reflective. Talk a little bit about how Tomboy is different from those albums.
You are all over it. That's exactly what those albums were. The first one was like from the inside of the storm, still had a lot of questions, was trying to reconcile that I probably won't get answers to all of them, but some of them would come in time, but probably not in the time that I wanted. There was a lot of unapologetic angst in that one. And then in Reckless Thoughts, a couple of years later, I was kind of looking back from the other side, those few answers that I got. Also kind of I'm okay with the ones that I didn't. And then how has the dream changed over time? It was one thing when I got here. It was another thing when I started this whole thing in my 20s. Okay, maybe it's time to reevaluate, right? When you start in your 20s, you're basing your dream on a template that other people have told you what success is. So you're like, oh, that's what it is. But then as you gather experiences, turns out you're not really interested in and what isn't really that important to you, but this other thing really is. It reshapes. We have to remember to take stock again and look at the inventory. Do I still want that thing from my 20s? And then even just on that album, there's a song about this thing exactly. My dream had changed a little bit since when I first showed up in Nashville, which had only been from that album. It had only been like 4 years earlier. I learned from the looking back. It's funny how, life imitates art, imitates life, imitates art. It's like you can learn from your own songs and stuff shows up in your own songs that you didn't know you were really thinking about or what was important to you. Or like, oh, I guess it's about that. I guess I need to say that because my subconscious is like rocking.
Oh, yeah.
It has to get this out.
Or what's that about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you ever had a song that you didn't realize it was about you until about 5 years later? You're like, oh my God, it's that song. And like your life imitates a song from years ago. It's like the song knew before you did. That's totally happened to me.
Yeah, it's wild.
I know, right? I mean, it's like just one more reason, like you have to keep on writing because you never know what you're going to discover about yourself, things that you'll learn about you just through the writing that you didn't realize were important to you. After Reckless Thoughts, though, it took me a second, like, okay, so I'm feeling like more centered now and kind of settled in and a little more zen about the things that I was so angsty about in the last record. And where the hell do I go now? And how do I keep it interesting? It's such a DIY land now. Like I'm releasing this on my own label. I've been doing it a really long time and 5 labels later, and now it's me. And more ways than not, I prefer that. I'm very happy with that. That's, this is not a complaint at all. It's just you have to keep yourself inspired and like have faith that people are going to give a hell about it. So there's that component too. How do I keep it exciting to myself so that excitement shows for when people, the ones who do give a shit, when they hit play, how am I going to keep them around?
Well, I think too, like if you're just writing to write, if there's no passion behind it or whatever, like that is going to show through big time.
Oh, yeah.
So there's got to be motivation
right.
and all that in there.
Yes. And thank you for saying that because I had no shortage of that. I knew I was on a roll of feeling inspired about the writing and about the production. So when those little thoughts of, is anybody gonna care, show up, I can go, you know what? I don't care. And then when I don't care, if anybody cares, they tend to care more, right? What the hell is that?
Right. 100%. Yeah.
But yeah. So the inspiration and excitement for this one started in a different place. This one, unlike the last two, I gave myself an assignment that I wanted it to be more percussive and rhythmic than any other album. Even if it meant fewer tracks, but more of them were finding ways to drive the song. And unusual percussive elements, like the face of the guitar, a brush on a book, a thumb on a bass that's just boom, boom, boom. Just like something, maybe like, and the bass note is in the key of the song. So even if it sounds like a drone, that's okay. It goes through the whole thing. Just like little fun things like that. I have the luxury of having a studio at home, so I can be off the clock. I can suck for a few hours if I want to and just kind of try different things and thwap that and thwap this and like see what really is cool. I put a tape echo on it and then like, is that a thing? There's a pillow behind me that got hit in all kinds of ways and then eventually sounded like something cool, So I framed out all the songs with that in mind. Acoustic, a couple acoustics usually, maybe like a Wurlitzer chimey thing, and then a lot of percussive elements implying where I want the downbeats, where I want the heaviness, where it wants to be lighter, where it wants to double up, where it wants to halftime, all that stuff. I also finally got over my thing with inorganic sounds. For years, I'm not like anti-synth, but I was never the person person who played that synth part. It'd always be somebody else. So my friend and killer bass player Will Honecker brought his OP1 to a session one time on the last album, and we were talking about it, and I just went for it and did the fiscally irresponsible thing and bought the OP1 Field, which is the follow-up to it. And oh my God, it's like the length of your forearm. It's like the thickness of a clipboard, and it does like everything that everything in my studio can do. Like you can record on it, you can morph the sounds. It's got tons of great sounds. Anyway, I did a deep dive into that. I had a blast with inorganic sound. So early on, and this is the first time that this has ever happened, early on, it might be a couple acoustics, a lot of things getting hit, scraped, and thwapped, and then a synth, a little sonic signature from the OP1. That was the beginning, the framework of the album. And then once I felt like the vibes were cued enough, without a lot of words, I have shown the next person that I'm going to ask to play on this album, I have shown him or her what I want and where I want it. And then I started to invite percussion, bass, strings, horns, for it to start there. And it was a really exciting place because every next person who heard it was excited about it because it was just kind of different. It was kind of left-footed. It was definitely different for me. And then, you know, I got horns on there. I got a flugelhorn on there, and that made me want to play sax. So then, like, I fleshed out the horn section, and strings are always, I'm such a whore for strings. Like, I just like, I could have them on everything forever and just mute my vocal. I love it.
You need a t-shirt that says that.
I would wear it proudly because it's true. It started in a different place, and I think that a part of it staying inspiring through the whole thing is that it was just everything felt fresh and new. Even, you know, the dive into the synth was new. Every time I got tracks back from somebody, that would make me go back and add something else. Anything they would do would inspire me to do something else, and it just built up and built up and built up. It was a lot of fun. I hope people receive it in that way.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that concept of using just ordinary items and recording them and then creating percussion parts. That's so cool.
Yeah, there's stuff everywhere for that. A clipboard, a Kleenex box. It's all here.
So I was reading about Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. Their drummer used to, I can't even remember the reason why he started. He had this big old suitcase behind him and he'd hit it. You know, part of his percussion and drums. And then eventually it just became part of the drums. And I think they even recorded it that way.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's cool.
Yeah. And it adds, like, if there's that kind of unknown pulse element that adds a little extra piece of syncopation in there, just a moment of that. You don't know why you're being pushed forward more. You don't know what that kind of extra drive is, but it's in there. And I was really trying to look for, you know, kind of sneaky ways to have a pulse, there's kind of a 16th note simmer under everything, but it's going to be different in every song. It might be kind of muted. It might be kind of shadowy, but I want you to feel that. I really can't wait to see if people really feel that, or they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I think they will. I think they will. Talk a little bit about the first single and title track from this album, Tomboy, that you wrote. And I love the line, is it still just a phase when she stays a tomboy?
Yeah. This is just the audio, but I absolutely still am. My buddy Emily Kopp and I think before we even started writing the song, we had started to compare kid photos of each other to like see who looked more like a boy when we were a kid. I mean, it was really close. We both would completely pass. I was an athlete my whole life. I played hardball with the guys forever, just not afraid to get out there in the dirt. Emily's the same way. Somehow our writing session conversation went to this and how this used to be something that was awkward for us. This is something that used to be hard. We just felt like we were on the outside looking in. We didn't look like anybody else. All the other girls were wearing a dress to the party. We were out there on the field with the guys. It used to be this kind of uncomfortable, who am I sort of thing. And now we're both, first of all, looking at these pictures and laughing our asses off. It's not just from a making fun kind of place. It's from a joyful place. It's from a proud place. Like, look at what a little badass I was. I like held to that. I'm not sure what her story was with her, you know, family pressure, whatever. My folks were awesome about it. Whoever I wanted to be is who I was. My grandma, I remember, would pay me to put on a dress just long enough for her to get a picture. So, you know,
I love that.
But I held to it. Like I didn't change. Like if somebody wanted me to wear a dress, I would fight it. I would put it on just long enough for her literally to pay me to have a picture. I think I would then use the money to like go buy a Tomboy thing, like a glove or a baseball or something like that. Somehow I just totally knew that that's who I was. And even with it being uncomfortable and you're so young, you don't really know anything yet, to know that I was sure about that, now we can look back and be kind of proud of that. Wow, that little 8-year-old like just knew to fight for that? How? It's a celebration. You know, the song is supposed to be a joyful, it acknowledges that it was hard, but it's supposed to come off as a joyful celebration of this. And now I'm really proud of it. Like I wouldn't change anything. I'm not going to wear any makeup and I'm never going to wear a dress. I'm in drag in a dress. That doesn't make sense.
My mom tells me that the first time she tried to put curlers in my hair, that I cried and ran away. Or not away from home, but just, the other room.
Oh my, right. I ran away to the other room. That's pretty good. I think there's a song there.
Yeah, probably. Your song, Counterintuition, which when I first heard this song, which is probably not what you were thinking of, but it made me think of my favorite Seinfeld episode, Opposite George.
Oh, I totally thought of that as I was writing it.
Did you really?
No, I totally thought of that.
Oh
Okay, sorry. Yes.
I was like, she might hate this. I hope she doesn't hate this. I can always cut it out.
I love that.
That is great. That is great. What I had for the rest of the question was, what was your inspiration for that song besides George Costanza, of course?
That's great. Okay, well, the inspiration for that song was I had just gotten onto a dating app and I felt like everything I said on that thing, everything I posted about myself just ended up like not really being received. Anytime I would have a chat with somebody, an exchange, everything just felt off. When I am my knee-jerk reaction self, it's just not the answer in this world. I know now that that's not, there's anything wrong with my instincts. It's like, it's just because it was a dating app.
Yeah.
Like, sorry if you love those apps, but it kind of started in, how the hell am I gonna meet someone? Like, I thought it would be easier than this, and not because of like who I am or I think I'm so awesome. It's just like, there are a lot of gay women in Nashville, and now I'm a single gay woman in Nashville and I meet people constantly. I think it was about that. I'm less introverted here than I've ever been. That first year was really challenging, but I went against the grain. I made myself get out there and meet people. I had never before walked into a party alone, not knowing anyone in the room. And I made myself do that over and over and over again. Every friend here too, this is something that's just easier in Nashville. I think even my LA friends would say this. You meet friends through friends here and it's just exponential. You'll meet 3 people and then if they're at the party, you'll meet another 30. Meeting people is not hard, but I was not meeting a person, a significant other. And I'm like, okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to be opposite George. I totally thought of that.
That's great.
It's not really working on the apps. It's not really working. Even though I know about 1,000 more people now than I knew when I came here, none of them are a match like that. Like, it must be me, and that's what inspired the song.
That's awesome. I love it.
It didn't help me meet anybody, but I got a song out of it.
Hey, there you go. Another part that I love about that song, too, is it's all about trying to convince yourself to do the opposite of what's natural to you.
Right.
And then at the very end, it says, help me fall in love again. And I love that, how that song ends that way. It's really cool.
Thank you for saying that. Because saving that for the very end, at first I was really excited about it. And then I started to doubt that. Like, is that going to throw people off? Like, no, that's actually the crux of it. Is like, clearly something in me isn't ready to go there. And so I need to flip the script. Like I have to look at this in a different way if I want to fall in love again. Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought it made the song. Finished that at the end.
Well, thank you for saying that. All right.
Your third song on the album is That What Love Does. To me, it feels like it has almost kind of a both sides now quality to it.
Ooh.
Without the heartbreak. Can you talk a little bit about writing that song?
Cool. I'll take that. So Emily West and I wrote that one. I think this is the only one on the album that was originally inspired by my co-writer's story. So she was at the beginning of a love affair and felt herself changing in these ways. Like she literally took the blinds off the windows. And that's the first line of the song. She was like, I'm going to open up the space. I'm going to take all these photos off of my shelf that are of old things, that are of old versions of me. I'm going to put all of this new stuff on. It's going to be brighter and lighter. And we set it up where the verse is just saying all of these things, all these ways that she is making her space a different place. And then we just ask the question at the beginning of it as if it's just occurring to the singer right now. Oh, is this what love does? Like, is this all of these things that I'm doing in my life? Is this because I'm in love? We really wanted to portray it as like a real-time thing, like it's just hitting us now at the beginning of the chorus that I could be in love.
It's so cool. I love same house, same street, but everything's different.
Right.
It was a very cool take on it, for sure. Can you talk about the inspiration for Only Lucky? The imagery in Only Lucky is fantastic. The snake of brake lights, automatically saw that. The scene of the accident rolling in by the metal in the glass. The reel of white dashes will start up again. Talk about that song and the inspiration for that song.
Well, the immediate inspiration was that. I was driving a lot. There was a month where I guess everything was just close enough for me to drive instead of fly. So I was just on the road a lot. And 2 times in that short amount of time, I was stuck in hours long jams like that. And both times there was a fatal accident at the front of it. And obviously we all could see that it was fatal. Horrible. Yeah. That imagery is what I'm using in this song to just convey the perspective shift that we talked about earlier. So just realizing, I set it up in the verses like, I was tired and I was hungry and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, meh, wah, wah, that I'm in a traffic jam. And then you realize why you're in that jam. And then you realize that you're really lucky and that you're fine. And it's just a couple hours and somebody just had the worst day, last day, horribleness. And that's something that I feel like I'm more open to even seeing in my everyday life like this because of the work that I get to do with Songwriting with Soldiers. My lens is open to that and I get to see that everywhere. And there are so many signs that I have it really good compared to a lot of the world, It's not just comparing myself to my other musician friends, but the world, the human experience. I'm very, very lucky. I'm trying to convey that in the song and it goes from that place. It's set in a small place. I'm literally in the car the whole time. But you know where your mind goes when you're in a car for 10 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the Wild West in your mind.
That's the truth. My favorite song on the album is probably Edge of the Weatherline.
Really cool.
Comparing a storm to moving in and out of hard times or a breakup. That visual to me is so cool. You can just see it. I live in Oklahoma, so.
So you actually see it.
Yeah. Yes, you actually see it. There are no hills or mountains in the way. The rain falling sideways. I love that line. Here between the shadow and the shine was really cool. Can you talk about that song a little bit?
May Earlywine and I wrote that. We were on the road. We were driving through Colorado. We were on like a little 4-day run and we got hit with a storm out of nowhere and it was hard. Like it was like windshield wipers weren't able to keep up with the rain, sort of hard. And it's like just coming at us and trucks are flying by. We're like, where did this come from? What is happening? Like, hang in there. And we could see maybe a mile up, literally an edge of the weather line. Dark, black, angry cloud just ended. And then there was a blue sky. May and I were always kind of talking in song anyway. I don't even know who said like, look, wow, you can even like see the edge of the weather line. And we look at each other like, okay, that's a song. And we start writing that in the car. And
oh, cool.
All the things that could mean. It has been a long road. After my marriage ended and I had a kind of a brief but a volcanic relationship right after that was just like flare up and then go away. Like it was the fastest ascent and a descent as I've ever seen. So I was still kind of reeling from that. Plus the 21-year marriage relationship. I'm happy to report we are wonderful friends. We see each other all the time. She's awesome. Obviously, just a lot to unpack. And I was still unpacking at this point and still needing that kind of shift in the weather, still under the dark cloud a lot of the time and hanging on to any metaphor like there's a blue sky. There actually is a line. There is a finish line that I can cross and something changes.
Yeah.
So we just leaned into that. I think we finished it online, but it started there. And we both, a part of why it was so fun, why it worked so well to finish online is because we both had that image in our minds. We are literally in the storm, getting our asses whooped from the rain and the trucks and the hydroplaning and like all of that's happening. And we both have a visual of that line that is such a distinct one. It's like black and then a blue sky on the other side of it. So we could write from that place.
So your very last song of the album.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you recorded U2, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about why you chose that song, other than it being an amazing song.
Yeah, it's such a cool song. Asterisk, I do it a whole step lower than they do it.
Oh, really?
That's how high his voice is, or that's what a great range he has. Also funny, my ex was on me to do a cover in my set for years. She was like, you got to finish with a cover, or maybe, have a cover on your album. And I was just like, no. And then I finally came to it alone. I'm like, why didn't I do this earlier? Sorry, honey. Yeah. I originally recorded this in 2020. It was either late 20 or early 21 for a Patreon thing. I was looking for something to post on my Patreon page, which I started in June of 20, and I still have it, and I love it. It inspires me. In fact, this is one of those ways that it was hugely important in the life of this song. I would not have recorded it if it wasn't for that. So I did it for the Patreon page, and then in the swirl of late 20, early 21, I kind of forgot about it. And it was just like in a folder. I didn't even call it I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. It was in a folder called U2 Cover. Like, that's how much love I had for it. I was just like, oh, I did that, and it's over there now. I was looking for something else. This happens a lot, right? Like, you're looking through your external hard drives for something else, and I hit this folder that said U2 Cover. What the hell is that? Like, did I produce somebody else on that? I literally had no recollection of it. It's so weird. And I opened it up, and I opened up the whole file and listened to everything on there, and I started crying. I was like, what is wrong with me? This was just sitting there. It was so emotional, and it was there's no way to know where you're coming from when you're coming from it, when you're in the middle of it. So now I get to look back 3 years later on the most vulnerable, just letting it be broken. Just here it is. I'm just a pile of human right now. And I'm going to sing this thing. This is as high as I can sing it. Yeah, he sang it higher than me, but this is as high as I can go. And just let it be rattly and real. Now looking back, when it was time to choose that, I was looking for a 10th song. I hear this and I'm like, okay, this has to close it out. I got to make this happen. I feel like I did a little tiny tweaky to it, but mostly I didn't. It's what it was when I presented it.
So you kept the same vocals that you had already recorded in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wasn't going to try. No way. I wasn't going to try to go back and be me now to put myself in that place. I love that it was, that was like a height of the angst. I'd been here like a year and a half. I had COVID wicked bad in March of 20. The day that America admitted that it was here, I had it really bad. Pneumonia with it. It took me forever to come back from it. Then I had all this long COVID and extra anxiety, and I kept thinking I was getting it again and all this and late 20, early 21. And then when I dug in and did this song, I was thinking it was just kind of a one-off thing. It just, maybe it's because there was no other pressures on it. It was just, I just got to get this out. I just want to try this. And then I love that it was just kind of sitting there waiting for me to find it again. And this is the album that it fits on.
It's a really cool cover. I love it.
Well, thank you.
Maia, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk about your new album and to interview you, and it's been really, really fun.
It has been fun for me too. Thank you, really, just for asking and for having me and for listening and for really listening. I mean, the questions that you asked, I know that you listened. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to AmericanaMusic.com podcast. Be sure to go to AmericanaMusic.com and find playlists of the Americana artists we've interviewed here. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform.